think we're going to have to leave it there because we're running out of time. But I think we've got most of them down. So, and then, yeah, we'll make it work. Thanks for your help. That's Moon catches, but Austria, that's fine. And this is France versus Christina and Francis.
Am I supposed to be on this? No comms, I'll just get a computer. My computer's
Something's gone wrong somewhere.
I'm fucking running, man. Run harder, man. No.
Nick, are we good to go? Are we good to go? France versus the Czech Republic women's division action here at Windmill 2023. France taking a 1-0 lead. Benji Reese and Stef Pazzo.
Well, what a pairing. I didn't think we were going to get it on day one, but a delight to be here with Benji. Women's division. Bench, have we had a chance to catch up and even see how well these guys are doing? I'm going to get the laptop over to start searching. But we'll let Benji take you into play, and we'll try and bring you all the valid information there, pertinent stuff.
As that ball lands out of bounds, so the Czechs will get the chance to begin this possession from the brick mark. So they just checked in with Barontan on the mark. Deep shot goes, hanging up there, couple of players underneath it. It's come down in French hands, but there might be a call here. Morasova was the intended target. Steph has transformed into Francis. Afternoon.
Hello Benji, how's it going?
Very good. I'm sure you have familiarity with a fair few of these players, and we'll have some more pleasantries at the end of this point. Favrova pivoting high. The wind picking up a little bit now into the backfield. Slowly working it round now. Just trying to be patient with it on this possession. Solicitor burns to the open side, fires it into the end zone for the score. Czechs level us up at 1 apiece.
It's an excellent end zone defense by the French, but very good patience by the Czechs to hold on to that possession right there.
I've just been brought water to the booth. Do you know what tournament this is, sir? This is Windmill. We expect only the finest beverages here. Not before 6, I'm being told. It's 6 o'clock somewhere.
We have a pre-curfew, it looks like.
Yeah. So, obviously, you're playing for PUC this weekend and more generally. So, is there any PUC representation on this France women's side, Francis?
Indeed, there are 3 PUC players. There is number 26, Aïssa Marco, longtime player for the French women's team. We also have number 14, Pony Nombolez, current PUC player, and Lise Frétinier, number 22, who is a current PUC player. We also have an older PUC player, well, a former PUC player, I should say, number 77, the masked bandit, Natalia Bocanegra, who's wearing the mask.
So France, well, that's a floater. That should be, well, it wasn't quite intercepted by Kostrobova, but she got enough of a hand on it to prevent it getting into French clutches. Kozlova. Zitova, just going to bounce off the hand of the receiver downfield and give it back to France.
Wind starting to play a role in these games.
And I think we're going to have a player have to come off injured here for France. For Czech Republic even. Didn't quite see what happened, so it's always worrying when a player has to make way without any seeming contact that might have caused an injury.
And Benji, I'm sure that you have been glued to the booth all day, so you didn't get a chance to watch that scintillating Germany-France game before, but the wind really posed a problem for the French. They floated a lot of throws up into the lane, and the German women's team is very tall, and so they were able to collect those, hoping that they can really regulate those throws and problems in this game.
We have been able to keep an eye on it thanks to our roving drone coverage this week, as that one was always covered, the throw looking for Mondio underneath. Czech Republic looking to strike quickly as they are often want to do. But you can feel the wind definitely picking up now. The Czechs going in the downwind direction. Can they sneak the inside through? They can. Break to the Czech Republic. It's a 2-1 lead.
I think that's something that you don't want to see if you're France. They had some trouble maintaining their momentum when they got broken before by Germany, and an early break is never a good sign for an offensive line, obviously.
So let's run you through those the previous scores for these two sides. For the Czech Republic, they began with, I had it for a second and then I lost it, 15-10 win over Spain. For the French women, 13-7 over Bristol. Into round 2, if the laptop behaves, which it does now. For the Czech women, it was a 15-11 win over Belgium. France dispatched Poland 14-5. And then in round 3 of Swiss Jaw, the Czech Republic women went down 14-10 to the veterans Mermaid Lumberjacks. And for France, as you mentioned, 13-12, that final score. Germany won. And how does it all shake out in the women's division? The Germany women are top at the moment, comfortably ahead of the Mermaid Lumberjacks in second. France are 5th, and then a little bit of the gap between Austria in 4th and the Czech Republic right below them. But both sides at the moment on course to go into bracket play. Chartrain dishing it back. Valet to Le Bogne. Two Yaka teammates linking up. Now the underneath, a little bit of a riser, but not a problem. Looking to squeeze down the sideline. I think Valet made the catch, and they're calling it good for the goal as well. Or at least they were at the start. Well, there might be a bit more discussion about it.
Frétinier really trying to squeeze that disc into a tight space.
The goal will indeed stand. So 2 apiece now on the scoreboard.
It's good management of the wind from the French. I think that they really put some throws just into the torsos of their receivers, and they just marched it down. Pretty simple ultimate on that point.
If you're France now looking to try and break against this wind, what are you cooking up?
Well, Czech Ultimate, I think for some obvious reasons, has kind of a reputation of you playing with the long ball. So I would...
Don't know what you're on about, mate.
Well, it's true without two Toshnerova sisters, there's a few less long shots than before, but every Czech team that I've played against and that I've ever seen play has loved set plays and two-pass offense.
It's in the DNA, isn't it? Things that you expect from them. You expect them to like the deep shots. You expect them to play kind of smothering, stifling zone defenses. And after the turnover, you expect them to get it in play quickly. And those of you who are expecting that will probably not be disappointed when you watch this side play. And there is the aforementioned long shot. Tried to jump it all the way into the end zone, but managed to do so. I thought for a second they were going to be called short, but it was a beautiful put from Masloviakova. And that puts the Czech Republic back on top, 3-2.
Two-pass offense.
Why not?
It's like a three-pointer in basketball. If you're going to play efficient, why not?
Can you pass my hat, please? I spiked it earlier in mock frustration because the Czech rosters were not updated in time.
So to respond to your question, Benji, which I didn't get a chance to before, since the offensive point was too fast, I think that France probably could try putting on a flat mark, maybe throwing some poaches up in the lane, play a little junk or zone to sort of break those set plays. And
I'm down, yeah. I like it. Also, it disappoints me greatly to see that the Czechs are wearing the right jerseys rather than my favoured look of the red and blue stripes. I'm allowed to wear this because you're wearing a French jersey, sort of. So, you know, we balance each other out.
We'll just both play favoritism for our sides.
We are completely neutral here in the booth. I've just always thought this jersey's an absolute killer. Was very happy to get my hands on one at JJUC last year. The only condition was that I support the Czech Republic when I wasn't on stream during the week, which I was more than happy to do. So Rasta, Aline Mondio picks up on the sideline. Threads the inside through to Chartrand. Trying to get a bit of flow downfield, just past the bidding defender, Valet. Still surveying her options. Finds the inside through, stretching it all the way across the pitch, back into Chartrand's hands. Raimondo is the dump, but why do that when you can just isolate Valet in space? And she's catching for her second goal in as many offensive points to level us up at threes. I'll put my teeth back in.
Love the offense from the French right there. They were at first it looked like they were struggling on the sideline, but they had that nice inside break to open up the rest of the field, and then she just adds a little goal to her stats. France, of course, looking to build off of their previous EUC performance in 2019. The most efficient team at Győr, 3 wins and 6th place.
Yeah. And to tell you what, these two sides had a couple of battles at that tournament as well. So I wonder if there's any potential thoughts of revenge or bad blood. Who knows?
What's sure is that these conditions are imitating Győr perfectly. The heat, the wind, good memories.
Were you out there in Hungary?
I was.
I'm sorry. Actually, I really enjoyed it in the end. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
That's all that needs to be said.
I'm very happy to never have to go back to the fiery pitch of Mordor again, though. Eventually getting the reset through. Masloviakova finds Mrazova. Looking to try and find the continuation into the center. Tlusta. Pick is just going to stop a little bit of the flow here temporarily.
And I like the adjustment from the French. It looked like they actually did listen to me on the sideline. They put up that straight mark. They threw some poaches up in the lane, and it broke the set play for the Czechs, who are now forced to go into their flow offense.
A wonderful up-line cut there from Mrazova. Can they find the forcing throw? No. Oh, it's a little bit floaty, and I think just lost sight of it. Trying to get the run-through block. Nain looked slightly unimpressed when the foul was called.
Na seems to disagree. I would have to take another look to see what I really think.
Well, here you go. I don't think the receiver covers herself in glory necessarily. Maybe just located a little bit late as she was turning around. Both parties will get the opportunity to say their piece now. Dominika Kurzova might come over to help with a little bit of translation, but they are going to contest it. And it'll go back to Mrazova.
I think that's probably the right call, actually. Maybe there was some contact from Na on the D.
So Bocanegra, as you mentioned, wearing the mask, looking a little bit Zorro-esque. On a high stool, just thinks, I may as well put something under it, trying to hammer towards the back of the end zone. Thought about the call, none to be had.
Is there anything more resembling Czech Ultimate than a Stahl 8 hammer?
Yes.
A Stahl 2 hammer?
Yes, correct. And I thoroughly enjoy watching it. That one, I'll tell you what, there was always coverage on that one. Surprised that got thrown to. Masloviakova wanted the inside flick. Now turns, isolates Vavrova as the reset. Wanting to break down the sideline. How on earth did they fit that through there? And into the end zone. They lay out in the end for the score. I'm kind of not quite sure how that worked, but it worked. So, who really minds? Not the Czech Republic.
They were jamming it like Bob Marley right there. They're putting it into those small spaces with those inside breaks.
I mean, I have often joked on broadcasts that it's always open if you throw it hard enough. I think the Czech Republic kind of embody that. Tlusta, the runner-up in the Breakout Player of the Year in ULTI.TV's European Awards last year in the women's division, on the assist. And this is a Czech Republic side that, you know, they've been causing some damage in the early season. East Bloc have already qualified for EUCF by finishing runner-up at the Spring Invite in Padova to... oh, no, they didn't, excuse me, because Shout didn't make the final in the end at Elite Invite. Ignore everything I just said, but they will runner-up in Padova. And East Bloc, of course, won Vienna Spring Break as well. 3SB made it to the semis in Padova, and they've had some good early season form. So both of these Czech sides got win whatever who they're playing for, and the club sides have got some wins under their belt in the early season. Raimondo. Back to Valet, who sits the defender on the floor. Stoppage downfield.
That was an ankle breaker of a cut from Valet.
By the way, if you're looking for a breakout player candidate in the women's division this year, look no further than Aman Babikian, who's on the field right now in the number 83. There's going to be some discussion about where the disc should be and what the stall should be as well. Brain's beginning to fade a little bit late in the day. There's going to be some discussion.
So Benji, so far, what has been your favorite game that you've called today?
The game we had just now, actually, between Lithuania and Estonia in the mixed division was pretty hype. Nice little Baltic battle, as Dimi Donoshenko put it. Went all the way to Universe, so... And we had a Galaxy point in there as well. What more can you ask for? Libornia. Nanu downfield. Was tight coverage on the underneath cut. And the defender streaked through to tip it out of the sideline. Not sure who the intended target was. I just know that they're wearing Elise Becker's jersey. Got Trubova picking up. Oh, a floater, but there's backup. Zitova. Again, popping these up. Both sides maybe struggling to adjust to the wind a little bit. Libonia breaking around towards the far sideline. The shot's gone up looking for Valet. There was, however, a pick. Ali Samoko towards the far sideline.
Now, Benji, I said before that Samoko plays for Puke, which is true currently, but she is also, in just a few weeks, going to become a traitor to the cause, moving to Grenoble and playing for that very strong monkey team.
How could she? Babikian. Flatonia. Back to Babikian. Squeezing that one through the middle, or so she thought. Kotrobova flashed into the lane and smacked it to the floor. Good recognition there. High grab towards the far sideline. Trying to squeeze it into that space. Just got it past Valet. Kotrobova. They've got the swing available if they want it. They did not, however. They want to be more aggressive downfield. Beyond the attacking brick mark now. There's the reset. Faking the backhand around the continuation. Right onto the chest. Still, they work their way downfield. Bit more of a grind this possession for the Czech Republic. That is a sensational snag, though, there from Dominika Kurzova. I think by all rights that probably should have been a turn, and that one is.
Fortunately, paying for the karma of that excellent grab before.
This point being a little bit of a struggle here for the French offense. Raimondo. Fake the backhand. Force did a good job of dissuading that from going. Valet rips it down the centre of the field, looking for Libonia. And it just drops right into the, how do you say bread basket in French? Something de pain, I guess?
I mean, I guess you could call it a, well, we'll stick with Spanish until I can get my French brain back on. Festa de pan.
Either way, eventually, France made it stick for the score. So the wind beginning to pick up a little bit more, and we might have to do a bit of tent safety here for a second.
We have to nail the computers down.
Yeah, they've had enough of a trouble with the heat and all the sound that we've invariably brought back from EBUCC as well. That stuff gets everywhere. 4 apiece now. Exciting game this, is it? I think always promised to be whenever these two sides match up.
So going back to storylines, I think that what you said before about the Czechs' rivalry with the French is absolutely true. The Czechs beating the French both times that they played against each other at Yor. The Czechs finished beneath the French, oddly enough, but...
Is it unfair to say that they were maybe slightly bad-tempered games?
I was not in those games. I only got a chance to watch them on the live stream after the fact, so I couldn't tell you. But
bad-tempered might not be right. Maybe slightly contentious, perhaps.
A diplomatic way of putting it.
I try my best. So they're going to try and clear out the field for the deep shot. Timing's not quite there. Favrova. Czechs just playing it short at the moment. A little bit of adjustment. She's made the low catch. Now down the sideline, fakes the first one, then gets the second, not long outside the end zone now. And that was beautiful timing there from the Czech receivers. Fionset beaten to the spot to make it 5-4.
Smooth offense right there. I think that the French actually did a good job of adjusting. Again, they're putting on that flat mark, and they're throwing a couple of people to sort of flash poach in the lanes. But as soon as that transition comes to that strict force, the French just get fried.
Just utilizing that full width of the pivot out as well to try and make sure that the force is having as little of an impact as possible. You can see there is, so obviously with the French Open and women's sides, French mixed side having wrapped up for the day, seeing some of them come over to support. And just enjoy the weather, I guess.
So again, I think that both these teams, Benji, they would like to write themselves into the semifinal slot in Limerick. I think they're both aiming at least for that spot. France, I think they have the personnel, and really it's a question of chemistry. And I think the Czechs have a youth, sort of an energy of youth behind them. Who are trying to, maybe don't know better, quote unquote, that they can take on these sort of established teams like GB and Germany.
If they're bold enough to think that they can win Euros, then they might actually be able to win Euros. As that one down the sideline, looking for Mondiaux. I'd rather see that connection going the other way with Mondiaux suiting it to Valet.
Valet's been putting them up, but that one just didn't connect with Rasta.
It's also hilarious to me that there's a whole generation of players who know who Rasta is and will have never seen her pre-haircut.
Have you ever seen any photos?
Once, but that was a long time ago.
I imagine that those are a closely kept secret by Aline Mondiaux.
So the Czechs trying to break against the wind, which is whipping up a bit stronger now. Very good job of finding the poach on the far side of the field there, Kurzava. But now the French trying to lock down underneath, maybe seeing if they can bait a deep shot out. Valet trying to sit in that space, forces the lateral swing, and now trying to get the gainer. Two of them there. Brilliant layout snag, and tell you what, I thought they were going to come a cropper there either. Natara Kiova made the catch stick. Beyond midfield now, going for the lead pass. It's got a bit of float on it, and just maybe try to take it a bit early. There is a stoppage for some reason. I think it was a travel on the throw that's been retracted.
I thought there was a little contact on the mark, but it looks like there's no problem with that. And I agree with you, the travel was the resolution eventually.
Happy enough to play through it. So disc back with France now. Babikian. Now Chartrain. Floater into the backfield, but Babikian's got all the time in the world to settle underneath it. Now put a little bit of backspin on that inside shot to Mondiaux. Babikian, couple of paces outside the end zone, maybe a little bit more. Kind of taking off up line, not there. Wants the around break and rakes it past the mark to Mondiaux. Continuation towards the far side. Chartrain not in the end zone just yet. Valet maybe a little bit early, but Babikian sits in that soft space to make it fives.
That's a signature backhand from Mondiaux. She loves that low release right there. You can see that she uses all of her trunk when she gets down.
It's kind of signature dump swing, that really. It's like when you say, show me what a dump swing offense looks like. There you go. And that was the turnover that gave the disc back to France. And yes, they're kind of getting these in, but I think they'd rather give the Czechs fewer shots at it. It looks like we've got a timeout on the field as well, by the way. So we'll take a little breather here in the booth, and we'll rejoin you very shortly.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Commentary thing, and it wasn't communicated properly, so that's why we're doing this. France 5, Czech Republic 5, as you can see that on your scoreboard. I'm not sure we necessarily needed to put the countries that France and Czech were from, but we've done it anyway, just in case.
Why not put the IOC international code for the country on there?
It's just good practice, right? Never know when it might come in handy. Czech's in the driving seat at the moment, trading up. Most of the game's been going downwind. This ball's going to get a good bit of hang time on it, fielded just shy of the brick mark. And they are really rocking and rolling now. One thing I love about these Czech sides is that once they sense the opportunities and they get the tempo going, they are gone in an absolute flash. Just dink and dunking, and before you know it, they're in the end zone for the score, and it's 6-5.
And Benji, I think the best D-line for the French is actually their O-line. In the previous point, it looks like they were using an interesting sort of force middle where Ali Samarco and a couple other people were playing free-range poach in the lanes to force those wide swings, and it eventually worked out. But the D-line hasn't been able to generate the same amount of pressure that the French O-line has on defense.
I think part of that is that you kind of don't have the wind as the extra defender there. It's also that your O-line's probably going to be a bit slicker with the disc than your D-line is. But I do agree that whatever the French defense were trying to do here, it was relatively shredded. Love the give and going there from Talista. Not just throwing it, but following it up, getting it back in her hands and really orchestrating the offense.
What do you think about the force middle against a horizontal stack?
It's interesting. I find it works a little bit better against verticals, I think, because you're funneling into that area where kind of everything is, and it feels like there's more traffic. But I'm one of these people who's kind of throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, because you never know what a team might struggle with. The one thing that has surprised me is that we haven't seen more zone come out from the Czechs, as that shot from Le Bon was not on target, and she knew it pretty much as soon as she released it. Big old slap of the ground in frustration and disgust. Pick your adjective.
Le somme, as we say in French. Great regret.
Oui, oui. So getting it off the sideline, the Czechs. Again, both sides have found deep shots hard in this direction, and as if to prove the point, that one's gobbled up. Frétinier. Sorry, that's Chartrain, excuse me. Confusing my numbers. There's the shot down the sideline, and it looked a lot better actually from the quick pickup because the Czechs couldn't get things set up and the French were already moving. But leveling us up now, it's 6 apiece.
See Chartrain throwing down the line. Raimondo down to Frétinier. And Lise Frétinier finishes it to her Puck teammate Alice Samarco. In addition to the point for Yaka, you can put a point for Puck on the board out there in YouTube land.
So where is the kind of, what clubs have this French women's side come from?
As you can imagine, this is really a true national team, but France currently has one very dominant team in women's, Yaka, who won astonishingly on Universe Point this year against LFO from La Rochelle or Ile-de-Ré down in the west.
They did indeed.
In really a thriller, but there's a lot of people from different club teams than from Monchaux, most of them Western teams. I think there are a couple people from Cesky and Puc, but it is really a national team in the truest sense of it. There's a big combination of a lot of players from everywhere.
It's not just a spread of teams, it's a spread of divisions as well, because you've got players from both the women's and mixed divisions. As the Maëlle Barantan, who we've seen already this season for Cesky, pulls that way out of bounds and gives the Czechs good field position to start. And here is a bit of zone from France. Am I a little bit surprised that we've seen them do it before the Czech Republic? Yes, I am. But we'll see if it works.
Benji, I think you should coach this team. Calling all the shots right here.
Oh, no. It's far better to have people think you a fool than get a clipboard and prove it. Travel called.
Bocanegra saying that the handler moved a little too fast off the release.
Too much go and not enough throw, I guess. Seemed okay to me, but obviously we're looking at things from a different angle. Tlista wanting to go into the backfield. Masloviakova. And the Czechs resetting this well as the French have transitioned into going one-on-one here. Trying to take on the inside shots and executed with aplomb as well. 7-6 Czechia lead.
I like the transition. I like the zone. The Czechs just look like they're on fire on offense right now. France is throwing everything but the kitchen sink at them, and they're really looking stingy out there.
Have a look at it again. They've just set the stack up far enough away that they open up that window for the inside shot, and it's not one of these really flat ones you see, but there is a tiny little bit of just a teasing inside-out shape on it, but nothing so outrageous that it kind of makes your eyes pop.
Kind of a surprising throw in this wind. Normally, we're used to throwing a little bit higher when we're throwing with the wind, but clearly Masloviakova has some experience in putting that shot there.
You can see there with a jersey rolled up. Elise Becker, I think, picked up an injury maybe at EBUCC last weekend. Certainly, she wasn't playing in the game we streamed in the mixed division between Czech and RFO, which was a banger, by the way. Highly recommend you go back and watch that, even if you have no rooting interest. Valet from the sideline, right in front of Cam 2. Stay with that shot, Nick. Trying to run it downfield. Chatrin. Looking at the end zone, going with the high release over the top. A little bit of creativity to find Mondiaux for the score. 7-7, we got ourselves a Galaxy point, Francis.
I'm still not sure how I feel about the term, but I'll accept it because it's exciting. France having a lot of success with the high release. I don't know if the Czechs are adapting on the marks, whether they're deciding to put their hands higher, whether they're just hoping that they can, like Germany, recover some of those floaty shots. Chatrin had some good technique on that, getting over the mark.
What do you think of the term universe point?
Universe point, it took me a long time. I'm convinced.
Okay, then you can't. Look, is Galaxy point ridiculous? Yes. Is universe point also equally ridiculous? Yes. I think at this point, if anything, I like Galaxy point more because it's slightly poking fun at universe point. It's just a game of Frisbee, lads.
Point taken.
If it was up to me, I'd still use sudden death, but alas, it is not. So that you can see that the wind is just going to stop that ball pretty much bang on halfway and push a little bit back towards that end zone. I wondered if we'd see France cross some more offensive players over to D to begin, or to finish this half, but apparently not. Going with the zone again. And the Czechs happy to just dink and try and dunk their way through it. Not putting really any pressure on these swings. And already they're about at the attacking brick mark. Barontin trying to use her length and reach on the mark. Tlista. Redirecting central, Mrazova, now Vavrova. Finding it through, wow, just past the bidding Barontin. Tlista dishing and breaking towards the far sideline. This Czech offense seemed to have that zone completely figured out. Like they've got the schematics and the diagrams, and they score to make it 8-7 half-time lead.
The machine is really humming for the Czechs right now. They are feeling it. They've got some excellent dump swing. It doesn't really matter what France has thrown at them so far.
Let's take the opportunity while the two teams have half-times. We'll knock our heads together as well and come up with some scorching analysis for you. The final half of day one of Windmill 2023 continues on the other side.
How much longer can you hide? You can try and push away from me. You kick and scream, you're begging, please. But once you get a little taste of freedom, you wanna get up off your knees. Come over, don't fight how you really feel. Come closer to me. I'll give you something to believe in. Come over, don't fight how you really feel. Come closer, please.
8-7, the Czech Republic lead here. Round 4 of Swiss draw action in the women's division at Windmill 2023. Benji Rees and Francis. How do you pronounce your surname?
What language do you want it to be pronounced in? English?
Sure.
Dieterle.
What, French?
It's a German name.
Oh, in German then.
Yeah. In German it will be Dieterle. Dieterle, sorry.
Either works. We're here for women's division action. Czechs receiving to begin the second half. Up the one break and trying to do the old 2 for none. Put in the possession cleanly to take half, and then coming out of half, get another possession for free. And see if they can open up a little bit of breathing space over the French here. But they've got to work against the wind and against this French zone. It was looking a bit flatter when they had the wind at their backs. But now they're going into it. More of a cup zone, really, trying to force them towards the sideline and use those other 3 defenders at the front to see if they can pin them in there. There's an expansive swing across the field. And Tlista just didn't quite ever get her hands ready for it. A rare error. Fionn Set picks up. This will bring us level. Centering pass, now continuing around. Looking for options. Still count ticking over. Just jacked it and jammed it into the end zone. Fionn Set breaks free, and it's 8 apiece. The zone had the desired effect.
All right, even game.
The Czechs still with the advantage, of course, trading up and having that wind advantage as well, but just try to crack it open with that swing, and at least they got ourselves in that awkward position where it's just right above you and it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint. And they slowed them down, the Czechs, but they could not stop the French on that occasion. 8-8.
As you said, I think that the new zone that the French are using is a good adaptation. It's an aggressive zone. It's really forcing them to the sideline, and it's making the Czechs double check every reset that they have to throw, throwing that wide swing, and eventually Tlusta not able to corral it. It also limited a little bit what the Czechs were doing before, which was crashing and gaining free yards. When you have that aggressive mark on, it doesn't give you anything for free. You really have to move into the zone and push things around.
And with the deep shot, I guess a little bit less of a threat going into the wind as well. It does compress things. Sticking with that cup look that worked so well on the previous possession then for the French. The Czechs dishing towards this sideline. That's a lovely thread through there. Now get beyond that front line, Vavrova. Out wide, continuing to move it. Again, never really letting the stall count settle, keeping the French defence on their toes, changing the angles of attack. Wanting the around break there, not seeing it. Defenders just sitting slightly in that lane. Forces the reset, and then there's a pick. Checks back in.
I think Lucie Ishal got a little extra meter on that pick call.
Trying to flow it down the far sideline, Herschlova. Loviakova undersold the shot.
Again, the transition looks like it's paying off a little bit. I think it limited the Czech, deep game, of course, that's been working, but it looks like the switch between different zones is paying dividends right now.
Can they find it against the wind, the French? Swung central to Bertrand. Looking for options. Richard underneath. Nice gain of yards there. Continuing, it was a little bit behind, and the awkward kind of reach behind catch from Depoy. Another opportunity for the Czechs, but a couple of players make the same cut and comes all the way through, and it bounces off the hands. Trying to strike while the iron's hot there is Rollet. And there's a bit of air underneath it, trying to track that one over the top, stretching the field and getting their rewards from it. Lambolez dishing back to Bertrand. Bertrand and Rollet. Trying to break it across, and the French punch in the break. 2 straight breaks to start this second half, and now they lead 9-8.
Good response from the French. And it was Barentin who threw the deep shot there, I believe.
Sounds like something she'd do.
I think it's good to take shots against the wind, especially for a defensive-minded player. You know, it makes sense to sort of put something up there. You're already going against the wind, so might as well stretch the field. And sometimes you have a receiver like Lomborez who's going to read it and come down with it.
The thing is, if you don't threaten those options at all, you really compress your options, and it makes it easier for a defense to key in on what you're doing. Another timeout on the field, so another chance to get a little breather in the booth and at home, and we'll be back with you on the other side.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Czechs trying to get themselves fired up here, having ceded a couple of breaks on the bounce to the French, who now have the advantage in this game for the first time since, or maybe the very first few points. Benji Rees and Francis Dieterle in the commentary tent for this one.
Benji, what happened to the Czech offense that we saw in the first half? Look out of sorts.
Just a couple of errors maybe, and I think on the turn as well, the French just were a bit more expansive and a bit more ambitious with what they wanted to do. And it worked for them. Here's the pull from the French that is going to float and drift out of bounds. A lot of these French players were in attendance at EBUCC last weekend on the sands of Royan. I think changing the zone a little bit as well for the French has been very effective. Just not allowed them to have those swings as easily.
Like you said, it's sort of an odd choice against the Czechs, who probably are used to strange and aggressive zones, but if it works, it works.
Really trying to space apart that jaws of the French defense. But it's clamping down well here so far. Still count rising, just a little toss over the top. Can they get things going again before the French get reset? There's the transition you hear. This time can the Czechs take advantage? Not far outside the end zone now. Barentin gets her foot up just to make sure that throw doesn't go. Something's gone on there. Pick potentially? Suspiciously open, I think.
I would say that that's probably the right call. Probably a long time ago.
Everyone's just going to get back in position. Checked in on the mark by Rigolier. Lister gets Boccanegra, committing to the fake as the throw doesn't go. Really wants the inside and shows it for a long time before going for the backhand to Vavrova. Not far outside the end zone now. They've got that up line a little bit behind, but well pinpointed. Fiancette making herself big on the mark. Vavrova looking into the end zone. Squeezes the inside through. Now the continuation with the break around on the money, and it's 9 apiece.
Now it looks like we're back into the earlier stages of the game. Czechs displaying a lot of patience on that point, despite a very good end zone stand from the French. Some very good reset defense, but I think that all of the Czech handlers were making sure that they were mobile and creating space for each other.
They did get stuck a couple of times early in the possession, but they were able to kind of go into the creative locker and find the tools to unpick their way out of trouble.
Like you said, I think that that's some textbook dump swing. Threw it to the inside, threw it to the around, goal. Now we'll see if the French offense can handle a point against the wind. It's been a little while since they've been out.
Yeah, of course. Haven't seen them since they scored to make it 7-all. With a little bit of a break for half-time in there as well and a timeout. We'll see if they've come out, if they're coming out a little bit cold. Valet wants to catch the ball, get the French offense in motion quickly. Le Bogne. Downfield, oh, it's a floater. Pretty sure that Lamberles was not the intended target there, but it doesn't matter. It's not Lamberles, excuse me, it's Fretinier. I'm missing up my pukes. Squeezing that one through, and it's off the hand.
It's off the hand of the imposter Becker.
I'm trying to do a number scan. I don't see 59 Daban out there, so it might be her.
I think we can get a spy down on the sideline to inform us.
Czechs trying to get the break to go back on top. We found the imposter. It's Aurore Langlois, by the way. As that deep shot from the Czechs, overcooked, but at least they'll make the French play with some tricky field position. Happy to play the percentages at times and trust their defense. Floater that Langlois reels in. Valet. Surveying her options. Going back into the backfield. Nice round break. Samako. Looking around, looking a bit unimpressed with what she's seeing downfield. Threaded the inside through, but I think that's a pick.
Between Kotorobova and Samako, I think this is a great matchup. They're both pretty similar built players, and they seem to have a similar style as well.
Kotorobova will check in on the mark. And Samako resets to Lebon. And Valet with the drop. There was, however, a pick that I think might send this back. And potentially spare Valet's blushes. Lebon trying to rake that backhand around. Finds Mondio, who rips it deep. And rips it too deep. Doesn't care about throwing into the wind there, which had dropped a little bit. And Mondio gunned it. Saw if Langlois could maybe latch onto the end of it, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, the French were getting into some difficult situations. The Czechs are playing excellent open side defense. I'm betting on another run and gun point from the Czech D-line.
First pass is just swung. And they've got a nice gainer underneath. Tarakiova with that yellow headband. Getting into a high stall situation, but finds an outlet. Everything a bit static downfield. There's the option. Nice high grad made. Now they're trying to get a bit of pace, verve, and panache about the offense. Tarakiova. Kotorobova tasked with being the engine of this D-line offense. High release break down that far sideline on the money to Dominika Kurzova, and the Czechs have earned that break back. They're on top again now, 10-9. The pendulum of this game continues to swing back and forth. It's an engaging, engrossing contest out there.
Again, I think Kotorobova and Tarakiova, they had some excellent disc movement right there. Good break from Kotorova, which sets up this little high release for the goal. You said, Benji, this is quite exciting. Windmill, of course, this game, you know, whether it stays close, if it stays close, it won't really matter for the godly ranking that we all bow to for the next round. But
all
in
hail
terms
the
of
almighty algorithm.
all hail. But in terms of a mental edge, this can definitely have an effect leading into EUC, whether who is on top and who wants to stay there.
There is the mental edge as well, and it's tricky in a tournament like this, where obviously you want to win games, but do you want to necessarily show your full hand? There's that element of cat and mouse about the whole thing.
My personal instinct would be to hide your cards until the big show.
But you also need to find the time to get that practice in. It's a really tricky one to try and weigh up. Neither side has been 2 points ahead at any point in this game. Valle. Looking back to Mondial. Can she thread it through to Babikian? She can. Back into the palms of Valle. Now distributing outright to Mondial, who's got a more spread out offense to look at. High release down the far sideline from Chartrand with the layout snag. Sensational stuff for the score.
What an excellent grab from Chartrand. Not the most perfect point from the French offense, though. They definitely put our hearts in our throats.
It was a bit dicey at times. You look at it again, Mondial just surveying her options. Sits that one out there for Chartrand and sits the high release up, and I think it's Léa Raimondo who lays out and does well not to ground strip herself on landing as well. 10-10 with a little over 10 minutes left. Which way will this go? Of course, it might not go anyone's way because we can have draws in Swiss draw at Windmill. I know, an ultimate game ending in a draw. Disgusting.
Gotta take it from other sports.
Respect the point.
I'm thinking that France wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if they go back to the well on that trap zone again.
I'd buy it, yeah.
Despite the wind dying down a little bit, I think that the conditions are pretty good for that zone.
It's just going to be a match defense, though. From the French going one-on-one. Doing a good job of shutting down the reset. Tlister towards the sideline. Not seeing the separation she likes on that cut. Wanting to break the mark around, finds it. Just dump swinging it just past the outstretched arm. And in and out of the hands of Tlister. Potentially a bit of a gift. That's got to be a pick.
It was a pick and a half. And Pauline Lombolez running through about 3 different people before she catches the disc.
You could see that coming a mile off.
But to go to the defense, I think the French have adapted pretty well. They have managed to sort of lock down the Czech handlers who were creating a lot of the motion for the offense before.
So Role has the disc checked in with Masloviakova. Now seeing if they can find the inside window through. There's the deep shot. Over the top. Is it reeled in? No, not quite. It's a game of fine margins.
Just on the fingernails of the receiver right there.
Melina Dabin. So close to another French break. It won't surprise me if we see the Czechs open things up a little bit now. Don't want to play too close to their own end zone, but they're staying unfazed by the field position. Oh, it went through the hands of Tlister, but there was good backup from Mrazova. Squeezing that through and right through the little post box that the receiver made as well. The throw was really gunned to maybe try and fight against the wind. Oh, there's errors creeping back into the Czech offense now. Not a lot going on downfield. Able to spread it over towards the far sideline to Dupuy. Now Petit Pont. High grab made by Lambolez. Swinging into the backfield. Vichard. Trying to find someone coming free underneath eventually with a little stutter step. Petit Bomb provides that option. Now Lamboles again. Using the high release, just sitting it out there. Petit Bomb. Nice reaching grab made with the right hand there, made by Bertrand. Swinging past the defender into the hands of Dabar. Slowly but surely matriculating the disc down the field now, the French. Dabar attacks the upline space. Reset's got to go into the backfield. Into the hands. Relais continues to Bertrand. Can the French find a way through with the stall rising, just blading in the end zone to no one, and it is an accepted stall on Bertrand.
The Czechs just did an excellent job of clamping down on the handlers. And I think that the French offense was also quite tired. It is a lot of work out there to get the D, and then as a D-line, finding the legs to work the disc back into the other end zone is often quite difficult.
And the one thing the Czechs didn't do was they didn't allow them that scoring shot, and it meant that the French had to keep grinding it. As there's the deep shot, it's going to tail away, but it is tracked expertly. Now on the end zone line, reset back to Sluster. Can they find a way through? We wondered when the Czechs would open up their offense again. There it was. Mrazova doesn't like the around. Instead the inside, oh, skimmed off the gloved hand. You can tell the tension's ratcheted up a notch or two here, can't you? Underneath, Richard. Thought about going for the upline, instead finds the break in the centre to deploy. Nice offload here to Bertrand. Back to Richard. Pick called.
Valet is saying from the sideline that there is still a timeout. We'll see if the French actually take it here.
Back in. Resetting around to Bertrand. Was out on the sands with RFO at the weekend. Dabar. Oh, a little bit low. Bit of a worm burner. And the Czech Republic, as they are often want to do, getting it back in play quickly, seeing if they can catch everyone off guard. And maybe this was the plan all along, just get themselves in a position to take the timeout. We'll take a breather here in the booth as well. Don't you dare go anywhere.
Those who do not know their history can never relive it. The skies, the dives, the sideline smiles. Our past is held in photo albums, drinking stories. The present is a gift. And here at ULTI.TV, we want to make sure we always appreciate it, capturing the immortal moments of Ultimate from around the world and making sure everyone can enjoy them for free, forever. Because the future belongs to all of us.
Ten apiece here. Czechia and France. The Czechs taking a timeout on what started long time ago as an 0 point for them, trying to go with the wind and punch it in. Even if they don't get the break here for the French, they're really putting some miles in those Czech legs out there, Francis.
Sometimes as a D-line, that's really what you want. If you are a defensive-minded player, then you really just kind of want to have the O-line spend as many minutes as they can out there and, as you said, sort of hopefully wear them down over the course of a game. Obviously, you would like to break, but you're not able to do that, at least putting the pressure and making those points last a long time, it really pays in the end.
Horizontal setup. The French going one-on-one, although I think they're going to try and bracket this middle pairing here. Back in play. There's the deep shot that goes. There was not enough loft on it, and it thunders off the arm of Dupuy. The curse of the turnout has bitten the Czechs. Low. Unfortunately, they're just going to give it right back as Bertrand couldn't scoop it. There's the deep shot. And it is a dagger through the heart of the French. Bang on the money. And eventually, it's a Czech hold for 11-10. But that was a marathon point.
Fast break is working out for the Czechs. It looked like the set play, was completely bugged. And they threw the disc straight up into the lane to the defender. But in that flow, and they've got that fast break going, as you said, they love the deep ball.
Yeah, there's the turnover again. Just Bertrand maybe a little bit awkward in her stance. And no fear here. Grip it and rip it. And put a little bit of air underneath it as well. So plenty of time for the receiver to stride it into the end zone for the score. The French did a really good job because I think they knew what the Czechs wanted off the timeout. They had Dupuy in that lane ready and waiting for it. They got the block. It's just a shame for them that they couldn't capitalise because they diagnosed what was coming really well.
I agree. It was some excellent coaching to sort of spot the diamond play in the center and get somebody up in the lane when they were about to throw the long. France needs a hold and a break. I believe there's 5 minutes was called a couple of minutes ago.
Yep, so just under 2 minutes left before cap comes on. And the way it works at Windmill is when the jingle goes and time is over, you finish the point and that is it. So draws are very much possible. Chartrain going downfield, defender in the way. Accepted stall, second of the game.
That seemed like a fast 10, but if Chartrain's willing to accept it, then so are we.
Getting some nodding on the sideline there. Kotrobova trying to power the upwind break that surely would give the Czechs the victory. Has to reset though downwind to begin the possession. Looking for some throw and go motion. High stall, gets a nice break out into space there to Tarakiova. There's the deep shot from the Czechs. This looks well judged. Just outside the end zone now. Dumping it back, wanting to keep things moving. Kozlova. Kozlova back into the, not quite in the end zone. That one will be 12-10. And the hooter is literally, the jingle has begun. So it will be, I think they're just deciding whether or not it's the start of the jingle or the bit when they officially say time is over, which happens now. So it's either 12-10 a Czech victory or they'll play one more point. It will still be a Czech win, but the margin is potentially to be decided.
In any case, it looks like the history of these two teams has repeated itself. The Czechs will retain a victory no matter what. It looks like they're calling it. Looks like from the body language of Samarco, she was about to slap the Czech player's hands, but they're still discussing. Regardless, going into UC, going into Limerick, and that's the game.
It is indeed, yeah. High fives all round. So a bit of that mental edge. The Czechs continuing the wood that they seem to have gained over the French at EUC 4 years ago. How much does that mean going into the real thing? Well, that remains to be seen.
What a game. What an exciting game to commentate for the last one of the day.
Right, lovely way to end as well. A really intense game. And when they needed it, just a clean march upwind there from the Czechs. And I think for both of these sides, we've seen what they're capable of. It's about a little bit about consistency. How frequently are they able to hit their best?
For the French, I think that means offensive consistency, and for the Czechs, well, they found it. They just need to learn how to keep it right there.
It's a little bit of a surprise to me that the Czechs just went match defense all game. So certainly it seems like they are keeping some things hidden up their sleeve for EUC next month. But here on the field, well, they didn't even need to show them in the end, because 12-10, the Czechs win. Final score. Last round of the day is in the books. I think someone's got an appointment with the sign-up sheet for the beer race. So we'll end our coverage here. For all of our ULTI.TV crew and for Francis Italy alongside me, Benji Reese, we will see you on Saturday. Get the beers in.
Cause I've been feeling that crazy, and I need to lose control. So baby, put the record on. Baby, put the record on. Hit it. And I've been needing that crazy, and I gotta let it go. So baby, put the record on. Am I gonna need that song? Hit it. Come with me. I'm gonna get this party lit. Come with me. Let's do something we'll regret.
Come with me. I'm gonna get this party.
It is actually what you do, yeah.
I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. When the games are fun, it's not really a difficult job. Yeah. This was always going to be a banger. A little bit of shared rivalry, so doesn't hurt. Are you talking about kick